Do you soak almonds before eating them, or do you just grab them straight from the bag? What you learn next might change your perspective on this nut. Some believe that soaking almonds makes them healthier, while others think it's just a trendy gimmick without any scientific backing. So, who is right? What happens in the body when you eat soaked almonds, and what might you miss out on if you don't? Let's try to figure it out. Almonds are one of the most popular nuts in the world. They are rich in healthy fats, proteins, vitamins, and antioxidants, making them a staple in the diets of health-conscious individuals. Recently, many people have started soaking almonds before eating them. Some say this makes them easier to digest, activates beneficial nutrients, and eliminates harmful compounds. Others believe that this is just unnecessary fuss, and that there is no scientific evidence to support such claims. Does this make any sense? Let's try to understand what happens to almonds after soaking, and what scientists think about it. If you leave almonds in water for a few hours, they swell up and become softer. This is the most obvious effect. However, supporters of soaking argue that it's not just about the texture. They claim that water initiates processes that make the nuts more nutritious. For instance, the levels of compounds that hinder enzyme activity are reduced, making almonds easier to digest. Additionally, the level of phytic acid starts to decrease, which can hinder the absorption of important minerals like iron, zinc, and calcium. All of this, according to proponents of the method, makes soaked almonds more nutritious and beneficial. But is it really that straightforward? Phytic acid is indeed found in many nuts and seeds, such as almonds. It can bind iron and zinc in the intestines, making these minerals unavailable to us. This is why phytic acid is referred to as an anti-nutrient. But is it really harmful? Not exactly. It also has some beneficial aspects. It acts as an antioxidant, may reduce the risk of certain types of cancer, and helps control blood sugar levels. If your diet lacks minerals or you frequently consume foods high in phytic acid, it might be worth soaking them, as this can improve the absorption of nutrients. For example, if you soak almonds in water for 8 to 12 hours, the phytic acid content will decrease by approximately 90–95%. While this doesn't completely eliminate it, the difference is already noticeable. It's common to hear the advice to soak almonds for better digestion, and many people indeed notice that after soaking, the nuts become softer, making them easier to chew, and they don't cause any heaviness or discomfort in the stomach. Additionally, when almonds soak, certain processes begin that help break down specific substances. However, there is no definitive scientific evidence regarding how much these changes actually impact digestion. For example, it's unclear how well the enzymes that develop during soaking retain their activity in our stomach, given that the acidic environment there can break them down. If you don't have any digestive issues, you probably won't notice much of a difference. Some people prefer to soak nuts for better flavor. They become softer, the skin is easier to remove, and this reduces the amount of substances that can irritate the stomach. However, this method has its downsides. Some B vitamins and other beneficial nutrients that dissolve in water may be lost along with it. Do you soak almonds before eating them? Do you notice a difference? Share your experiences. We'd love to read your stories and respond to the most interesting comments. Nuts can go bad if they aren't rinsed properly or if they're stored for too long. This is especially true for soaked nuts, which have a much shorter shelf life compared to dry ones. If you've decided to soak the nuts, use filtered water and let them soak for 8 to 12 hours. After soaking, it's best to either eat them right away or dry them thoroughly. You can keep these nuts in the fridge for no longer than 23 days. Raw and crunchy nuts are delicious, convenient, and healthy. However, if you want to better absorb minerals, reduce the amount of anti-nutrients, or make digestion easier, soaking can really help. The key is overall nutrition. If you maintain a diverse diet that includes plenty of vegetables, fruits, and quality proteins, the phytic acid found in almonds won't harm you. However, if you're low on iron or zinc, soaking nuts might be beneficial. In fact, there's no one-size-fits-all answer. It really depends on your personal preference. Roasting does reduce the amount of phytic acid in almonds, but not as significantly as soaking does. On the bright side, roasted almonds are tastier and crunchier, although some of the antioxidants are lost in the process. So it's up to you. If preserving as many nutrients as possible is more important, it's better to soak the almonds. If you're craving a bold flavor and crunch, try roasting it. You can try both methods. Soak the almonds first, then dry and lightly roast them. This is what many people do. In any case, almonds, whether soaked or raw, remain an excellent food choice. As with any healthy habits, the key is to know your limits and choose what works best for you. Soaking nuts can be beneficial if done correctly and for a good reason. However, if you prefer to eat them as they are, that's perfectly fine too, as nuts are inherently very healthy. It's essential to understand why certain habits are important and to choose what works best for you instead of blindly following trends. Listen to your body and your needs.